Near fatal shooting, but he couldn't survive a second. Rap star Tupac Shakur died last night after a brief life in a rough business. He was 25.
I had him shot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But if you notice, it was a rat on television saying he the one did the shooting, this happened, that happened, this happened, that happened, right?
Right.
If you think about it, right?
Right.
Why you think nobody been arrested if they said they the one killed Tupac?
Because they're snitching to the police, so they ain't
Not
gonna get
just to
arrested.
snitch and be smart, son. Because Tupac not
Ain't as
dead.
smart as you should be.
Tupac not dead. If he was dead, they'd be arresting those dudes for murder. Somewhere smoking a Cuban cigar.
He says,
I mean, when I left that hospital, me and Pac was laughing and joking. So I don't see how somebody can turn from doing well to doing bad.
So you seriously think that he might still be alive?
I'm gonna tell you this, Pac, you never know.
Almost 3 decades later, and that wild Vegas night is still haunting hip-hop like a shadow that won't back off. Every few years, something new drops out of nowhere. A photo, a random interview, somebody speaking up, or a fresh theory that flips everything upside down. And just like that, everybody starts asking the same question all over again. What really happened to Tupac Shakur on September 7th? 1996? Now things are heating up again because Tupac's own brother, Mo Prim Shakur, is speaking out, and Snoop Dogg is sharing what he remembers from that night. Mo Prim isn't rocking with the official version at all.
You said that the same people that was trying to kill Puffy are the same people that was trying to kill Suge. What makes you say that?
Because if Suge said that Rafael Perez and David Mack was trying to kill him, those are the same people that was trying to kill Big. Because David Mack and Rafael Perez was seen at the scene. They got pictures of them at the scene. Rafael Perez was picking up bullets at the scene. Cops know you do not mess with the evidence. You leave the evidence right where it's at. So, bruh, they couldn't get Puff. And Big was collateral damage.
So pretty much what you're saying, right? And I'm trying to make sure I'm hearing you correctly. You're saying that the same people that killed Biggie are the same people that killed Tupac, LAPD.
If Suge says, if you solve one, you solve them both, I gotta go with the eyewitness. And I don't know why would Suge say that when Keefe D says that it was him, Orlando, and Dre and them in the car together. But why Suge would say, if you solve one, solve them both. He said that in the documentary. Like I said, man, I just believe that somebody was made to say something, and if I hope the Vegas Police Department do their due diligence and get down to the bottom of it and make the truth come out.
I mean, that is consistent with what you was telling me some months ago, how you felt like, you know, the whole Tupac Vegas situation was an inside job. So, I mean, it's consistent with what you've been telling me, so.
It don't take a rocket scientist for this, man.
But what you think the motive was, though, behind them wanting to kill Tupac? Like, what's the reason?
What's the root of all evil?
Money.
Money. Somebody wanted control of some money. Some people were spending money that they shouldn't have been spending. Some people were stealing money that they shouldn't have been stealing. Some people had money they shouldn't have had. And I think if I heard correctly, Tupac put an audit in 2 weeks or 3 weeks prior to his and start firing people and trying to figure out where his money was at and where it was going. So now, if you've been stealing money and you inside, and everything could be connected to you, what are you gonna do? Get this hothead in a situation. It just could have been that I'm gonna get this hothead in a situation, and if Tupac caught on tape doing something like he was doing, he going back to jail.
Not even a little. He swears there was something deeper moving behind the scenes, something the public never got told, something way bigger than a random drive-by. And with Diddy's recent legal problems bringing back old suspicions, people are looking at this case with brand new energy. But before going deeper into these new claims, there's one thing you gotta keep in mind. None of this has ever been confirmed as solid fact. Some details come from official reports, but a whole lot comes from rumors, street talk, and what people believe went down. So, at the end of the day, it's on you to decide what feels real to you. So let's rewind and step back into Las Vegas, the night that flipped the whole hip-hop world inside out. It was September 7th, 1996, and Tupac was in Vegas with Suge Knight to watch Mike Tyson go up against Bruce Seldon. Once the fight ended, things got messy fast. Inside the MGM Grand Lobby, Tupac and Suge spotted Orlando Anderson, a known gang member from Compton, and the moment they locked eyes, it cracked off into a confrontation.
I had doubts about the story. I was like, man, Pac probably shot somebody. That's what I was thinking. Pac shot somebody, rolling with the death. He probably did pop somebody. And by the morning, I knew it was him, and I shot straight to Vegas.
So when you got to the hospital, how was that like? Because I heard that Pac, he was getting death threats when he was at the hospital. Like, people was calling up to the hospital making threats.
Yeah, it was very intense. A lot of emotions. People were sad. Death threats. But we try to form some security detail, at least around the floor, around his room, because they had him on the first floor. But so me, Brother Watani, Storm, a few others, we try to secure the area, do as much as we can.
Yeah, I heard a lot of people was mad about that, man. I heard Gaddafi, he was real mad about Pac being on the first floor.
Yeah, Thug and Peace, my little brother Gaddafi, yeah. Yeah, he was one of them. He was down with us. Yeah, we were pissed off. I'm like, this is an assassination attempt, right? And y'all got him on the first floor near a window. You know what I mean? It's not rocket science. You know what I mean? So we if they ain't going, it was like, if he can't be moved, then we gotta lock it down.
When you was at the hospital, right, how was Tupac condition? Because you got so many conflicting stories, right? You got some people that say that, Tupac was moving in the hospital, he was, talking in the hospital, but you being there, from your point of view, how was Tupac condition?
By the time I got there, remember, I was coming from LA. So by the time I got there, he had tubes in his throat, in his nose, in his mouth. So he ain't talk to me, not verbally. He was conscious. He was trying to talk. He did want to talk, but he didn't actually verbalize any words. I always, that's gonna be one of the biggest mysteries in my life, because he was trying to tell me something. He was trying so hard. He was shaking the bed. He was looking at me, with his big old eyes, and I know he was trying to tell me something, but I don't know.
Something else I want to ask you, because I think it would be appropriate before we get off the Vegas thing, last thing, because I know I did an interview with Napoleon, and they all gave me their reasons why Afeni pulled the plug because of his condition, but I mean, it would be more appropriate since you was his brother. Afeni, her decision to pull the plug on him, from your point of view, what made her pull the plug, respectfully?
Because he had already flatlined a couple of times. And she didn't want him to keep going through that. I think it was like twice before she, let him go. And that's reasonable. You know what I mean? When I was, when I found out, I could live with it more,
Yeah, man. Sad, man. I heard if he would have survived, he would have never been the same Tupac. Like,
No.
he would have never been able to rap no more.
Yeah, it hit him in his lungs, you know, where the voice, you know, yeah, he wouldn't have been the same.
That scuffle ended up being the last official footage ever recorded of Tupac while he was alive. A few hours later, around 11:15 p.m., Tupac and Suge were rolling down Flamingo Road, sitting at a red light in Suge's BMW. Out of nowhere, a white Cadillac crept up right beside them. Windows dropped and the shots exploded into the night like a nightmare coming to life. The attackers let off multiple rounds, hitting Tupac 4 times, 2 in the chest, 1 in the arm, and 1 in the thigh. Vegas went from bright lights to pure chaos in seconds, and that single moment flipped hip-hop history forever. Tupac was rushed to University Medical Center, and for 6 long days, he fought to stay alive. Until September 13th, when the world was told he was officially gone. At least, that's the version everybody heard. But according to Mo Prim Shakur, that story has gaps big enough for a truck to roll through.
The boy Puffy called me though. Puffy called me back in the day. Back in the day, he called me. He was like, "I just want you to know I ain't have nothing to do with your brothers. You know, I know who you are, but we never met. And I just want to call you man to man, let you know that I ain't have nothing to do with your brother's death." Now, why was he calling me, reaching out to me? Because LA Times had just dropped, it was in the early 2000s, LA Times had just dropped an article in the newspaper implicating him as well. I told him I appreciate the call, but the truth is yet to come out, so we gonna see.
And I remember that article, man. And the guy that wrote that article, he actually did a few Tupac interviews when Tupac was still living. So, yeah, that's crazy, man. So Puffy, he called you trying to plead his innocence.
Well, him and I think him and C's was on the radio out here, and Big Boy, shout out to Big Boy. He hit me up. He was like, "Yo, man, you know, Puffy, see, they want to talk to you about the whole situation about your brother." And, you know, especially back then, I wanted all the information I could get. And I heard what he said, but, you know, this chaotic. I ain't know which way to go until you find out more information. And yeah, that was the early 2000s.
Did Little C say anything to you?
Not that I recall.
Yeah, that sounds like a guy that's guilty, man. Him calling you trying to plead his innocence.
Yeah, man, you know, he could have been trying to cover his ass, or he could have been sincere. We gonna see.
It's just too many attachments to Diddy, man. At some point, you got to start looking like, yo, what's going on? I mean, when Tupac got shot at Quad, you know, they was talking about Diddy. When Tupac got killed in Vegas, they was talking about Diddy. At some point, man, you got to start looking at them like, yo, what's going on, yo?
Yeah, and you know, you got people like, you know, Kading is out, you know, doing interviews and talking about, you know, it be feeling like he got sympathy for Puffy because he was scared. Yeah, he was scared. Yes, I agree. I do agree that he was probably terrified for his life. So if that is the case, it's also quite feasible that he put up money to get Pac killed. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's weird. But we gonna see. Time will tell. And on top of it, he had his own problems with Suge, you know, before Pac. So, yeah, I get it. You should be scared, you know?
And he's been calling those gaps out for years. Mo Prim says that from day one, nothing added up the way it should have. Strange details popped up everywhere. People had conflicting stories, and important police reports somehow went missing, like they just vanished into thin air. Even folks who were close to Tupac started side-eyeing the whole situation, wondering if someone kept the real truth hidden from them. In recent interviews, Mo Prim hasn't held anything back. He straight up said he does not believe the world ever got the full truth about what happened that night. He said, "We've been fed a story for nearly 30 years, but that doesn't mean it's the right one. That's a heavy claim," and he's not backing off it. What really gets him is how certain details were handled, especially from the people who were supposed to figure this out. He pointed out the lack of proper follow-up from law enforcement and how suspiciously fast the investigation wrapped up. And people acted like the whole case was solved before anyone even bothered to dig into it. Then Mo Prim dropped a serious bomb, one most folks never heard before. He revealed that back in 2008, Diddy personally called the Shakur family, trying to reassure them that he had nothing to do with Tupac's death.
In the last interview we did, you said Tupac murder was an inside job, but I never got to ask you, why do you think it was an inside job?
I don't know if I said it was an inside job and put it in that perspective, but what I was saying is that it's funny to me that you got Suge Knight, you got bodyguards, you got guys who hanging around doing security, and the dude runs to Tupac. I don't think Tupac gave the dude the chain that Orlando and his people supposedly had took from him. I think if it came from anybody, it came from Suge Knight or somebody in the office. But it was funny to me that he goes to the littlest in the crew and tell him that this dude Orlando took my chain and he over there. You understand what I'm saying? So that part of Pac going over there, it was always mind-boggling to me, because Pac know that he's on paper. He gets involved in anything, especially in any kind of aggressive manner or battery, he going back to jail. All that bail money, all that shit revoked. So why is he doing that? Now, we all heard, even from Pac's camp, that there's some wrongdoings with his money and things that's going on. So, who would have the biggest loss? Who would lose the most? And Pac finding out his money is missing, or he didn't get the paper he was supposed to. It had to be somebody in their camp that would lose. Somebody who had the avenue that they could steal, that they could take.
What you think about Trayvon Lane? He said that he didn't tell Tupac to jump on Orlando. He said that Tupac did that on his own.
Tupac ran over there after he got out and went in his ear, right? Speaks for itself. Why he tell Pac that? Why ain't tell Suge? Why ain't tell one of the other bodyguards? Why ain't tell one of the street dudes? Why would he tell Pac? Did anybody ever ask him, why did you tell Pac? Why didn't you tell Suge? Because Suge gave him the chain. Why you ain't tell one of those other guys? Why you ain't tell Pac bodyguard?
But Mo Prim wasn't buying it at all. He said something about that call felt off, like Diddy was trying to separate himself before anyone even mentioned his name. A move like that raises huge questions, and not small ones either. Jump to today, and the pressure around this whole situation is getting even heavier. Diddy is now dealing with federal racketeering charges, and reports claim his name shows up 47 times in secret police recordings connected to Tupac's case. Nothing has been proven yet, but the timing is wild enough that people are starting to wonder if there's way more to this story than anybody expected. Mo Prim has a theory. He believes the truth has always been sitting right in the open, hidden under layers of protection from people with power, influence, and serious money, the type of people who can make problems vanish with one phone call. And then there's Snoop Dogg.
Last time you saw him, and where was you the day he was shot in Vegas?
Wow, the last time I saw him, he was laying in the bed, holding on to his last breath. Man. Well, I had seen him before that because we left New York. We had just left New York. I had got off the radio station with Angie Martinez, and That's when me and him like clashed, because she asked me on the air, how do you feel about Puffy and Biggie? And I said what I felt. Them my homeboys, I love them. When I got back to the hotel, it was a whole nother atmosphere. Like, he sent his homeboy up to get the bud from me as opposed to him coming to get it. Mutai came and got the bud. Pac wants some bud. Hold on. Tell him to come up here. He ain't coming up here. Give me the bud. I'm going to take it to him. So I felt funny. And then my uncle said something about, you know, they downstairs talking and blah, blah, blah. So when we got on the plane to go back to LA the next day, Suge didn't let none of my security ride with me. I had to ride on the plane with him, his homies, and Pac. And it was the most uncomfortable ride I ever had in my life because my nigga nothing to me the whole ride. And that's a 5-hour flight on a private plane.
Yeah.
So I walk up to him like maybe 3 hours into the flight, sit next to him, I'm like, you going to Vegas, cuz? He turned on me like this, start talking to somebody else. So I'm like, all right. So I go in the back, put the blanket on my head, knife in my hand, fork in my hand, and just sleep the rest of the ride. Because I feel like they finna try to do something to me. So when I get off the plane, we land, he walk out, I got a Rolls Royce, he got a Rolls Royce. He walked down the steps, I walk down the steps. We meet right here. I'm like, cuz, you going to Vegas? He do me like this. Went his way and he went my way. Next time I get a call, he's like, turn on the news, cuz. I'm at Warren G house. We turn on the news, we see yellow tape, Suge BMW. Call Suge, he like, yeah, they white people, come on out here now. Drive out there, I see him in the bed, laid up, no words, no conversation. I see Jesse Jackson, his mama. His mama pulled me to the side. She make me feel like a real player. She tell me, my baby loved you, and I love you, and I don't care. She just hit me with what I needed to hear. You know, coming from a mother. She was strong at that time. Everybody else was crying and breaking down. She was real strong. And she just held me real tight, and she just said a prayer with me. And I know I went there, I hollered at him for about 20 minutes, and I went in the bathroom, I fainted, I threw up. I just was like, I was gone. Like my whole, because me and my homie wasn't straight. You understand what I'm saying? It's like, I'm not even gonna be able to apologize to him, or even just to tell him, I feel you, I'm wrong or whatever. We never got that day, and that's the way it ended with me and him, to where he passed away, and I never got a chance to, you know, apologize or even just tell him, you know, what is it? How can we fix this?
Snoop has always been real careful when speaking about Tupac's passing. They were label mates under Death Row Records, and even though they had their ups and downs, Snoop never denied how deep their connection ran. In older interviews, Snoop talked about visiting Tupac in the hospital after the shooting. He said that when he walked in and saw him, he could barely recognize his friend anymore. But what's catching people's attention right now is Snoop's new energy when he speaks about that night. Instead of repeating the same story he always shared, Snoop keeps hinting that a lot of things behind the scenes just didn't add up. He said the security setup that night was completely off, like something wasn't right from the jump. The protection around Tupac was unusually light, and even the police response felt slower than what you'd expect after a high-profile attack.
Listen to this audio from Suge where he plays an audio from Badass saying that, you know, Snoop warned him not to go to Vegas because he knew something was going to happen. And, you know, I want to get your opinion on it.
Dash was on a situation saying that Snoop told him they can't go to the fight, can't go to the club, can't go to Vegas, because something will happen, basically.
Dad was like, no, I'm not going to that on the road with them. If you going, it's going to be all the bloods there, blah, 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 and none of the homies are going to be there. And I was like, dang, I didn't really think of it like that. I don't really feel uncomfortable, but now that you're saying like that, he's like, Snoop ain't going. Like, why would you want to roll? Why we don't roll like that? You roll with Death Row when the homies roll. And I was like, you right. So I ran back over there and I told Pac, like, Pac, I probably ain't gonna be able to roll.
Pac said, man, I'm gonna let you can go to the fight with me. So Pac was like, you can go to the fight with me. After the fight, we going to the club. He said that Daz told him, well, you can't go, something's gonna happen, basically Pac or me, whoever. If you go, it's gonna... He stated that he was living with his mother and living with Daz, so he had to listen to Daz and not go to the fight.
So I ran back over there and I told Pac, like, Pac, I probably ain't gonna be able to roll. And he was like, that's what's up. He was like, well, I'll catch you, when I come back and blah, blah, blah. And we chopped it up. And that was the last time I ever talked to him. Like, after when he got ready to leave, like we said our goodbyes, and that was the last time I ever seen him or talked to him in life.
Okay, so that I get what Suge's saying, but Badass didn't say that in that thing that Daz told him something was gonna happen. So, so I don't know. It probably was see, that's some politics I don't know. You know what I mean?
So pretty much what Suge is insinuating is Snoop knew something was gonna happen in Vegas, so he went to go tell Daz. Daz told Badass, and Badass tried to warn Tupac.
Bruh, I'ma just keep it, in my opinion, I don't think Snoop had anything or knew something was gonna happen to Pac. I'm just gonna, you know what I mean? I don't think Snoop, like, whatever he say now in the interviews be weird, but I don't think he would ever want something bad to happen to Pac. You know what I mean? So I definitely don't, I don't think Snoop had anything to do with that, or, you know what I mean? And this is my opinion. No matter how many times we get up, we don't agree with his interviews, but come on, we ain't gonna say that Snoop knew something was gonna happen to Pac and he ain't saying that. That's what I don't think happened, bro. That's just me giving, you know what I mean? So basically, I think, bro, they're doing tit for tat. You know what I mean? I think at the beginning, I remember Snoop used to try to say Suge had something to do with it. And I think now Suge saying Snoop, I don't think none of them had any, I know for a fact, God willing, I don't think Suge had anything will ever want somebody to hurt Pac. And I don't think Snoop will ever want somebody to hurt Pac. So I think they just they just gonna, they saying, oh, you said this about me, I said it about you. That's what I'm getting out of the situation. You know what I mean? Badass was genuine, you know what I mean? See, when it comes to these type of things, these might be politics. I don't really know. You know what I mean? That you have Suge saying something about Daz so badass, so you know what I mean? These are things. It might be some politics, some LA politics or something they was going through. You know what I mean? But it's weird. It's very weird because Pac had a lot of love for Badass for sure. But man, that's the first time I heard something like that. I don't even know how to react.
Snoop never claimed Tupac survived. He never said that, but the way he talked made people start asking fresh questions all over again. His words brought new energy to the mystery, pushing people to look deeper at what happened and who might have had a hand in it. Was the shooting really just a random explosion of chaos? Or was it part of something bigger, something planned out behind the scenes? When you stack Snoop's quiet doubts next to Mo Prim's blunt statements, it becomes clear that even the people who love Tupac the most still feel like the official version never added up, and they still don't have real closure. This is where everything gets messy, because this part of the story has kept investigators, fans, and insiders arguing for almost 30 years. For decades, whispers have linked Diddy to the situation around Tupac's shooting. Again, these are allegations, not confirmed facts, but those whispers have followed him since the 90s. Now that Diddy is dealing with multiple federal investigations tied to racketeering and organized crime, those old theories are sliding right back into the spotlight. Reports claim investigators found tapes and files buried in police archives where Diddy's name was mentioned in connection with the shooting, and that alone has people side-eyeing the whole situation. But what really turned the heat all the way up was Kefe D, the man recently charged in Tupac's shooting, claiming years ago that Diddy supposedly offered money to target both Tupac and Suge Knight. Those statements are still being pulled apart by lawyers and investigators, but they reopened the debate in a major way. People are now asking whether the East Coast-West Coast feud was ever truly about music, or if it was hiding something way more serious beneath the surface. For years, Diddy denied having anything to do with any of this, but now, with investigators digging through new material, Mo Prim Shakur and a massive wave of fans are wondering if the truth has been sitting under the noise this whole time. Then come the inconsistencies, the cold details that just won't disappear.
If I know who killed Tupac, and not saying Tupac dead or alive, but I'm saying if I ask me if I know who killed Tupac, I'm gonna say, hey, absolutely not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No.
I don't get down like that. One thing people gotta realize, it's mother born and raised out here.
Yeah.
You both suspect the mother who live out here.
Yeah.
Because right now we got a lot of out-of-towners living out here, and they ain't saying nothing about it.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll have a 90 mother walk down the street and said, Suge Knight killed Tupac. Well, everybody know off the top, I ain't the nigga killed Tupac, I'm the nigga protecting Tupac.
Yeah.
But at the same time, bitch ass Puffy can give him a mother star, and every rat in the world said he didn't want to kill Tupac.
Yeah.
Or had him shot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But if you notice, it was a rat on television saying he the one did the shooting, this happened, that happened, this happened, that happened, right?
Right.
If you think about it, right?
Right.
Why you think nobody been arrested if they said they didn't want to kill Tupac?
Because they're snitching to the police, so they ain't
Not
gonna get
just
arrested.
to snitch and be smart, son. Because Tupac not
I ain't
dead.
as smart as you should be.
Tupac not dead. If he was dead, they'd be arresting those dudes for murder. You know he's somewhere smoking a Cuban cigar.
The official coroner's report even listed Tupac's height and weight wrong. His weight was written more than 10 pounds above what he actually weighed. The same report mentioned tattoos that didn't even match the ones he really had. And to make it stranger, the doctor who reportedly handled his autopsy vanished once the case was closed. And then there's the cremation situation, one of the most suspicious parts of the entire story. The man who supposedly cremated Tupac allegedly retired the very next day after being paid a large amount of cash, and nobody has been able to locate him since. Add to that the lack of photos, no bystander pictures, no hospital images, no raw footage from the aftermath. For someone as famous as Tupac, the silence and secrecy around those final hours still shocks people today. It left the world with way more questions than answers. Even Suge Knight stirred things up in an interview when he said, "Nobody seen Pac dead. They just said he was," and coming from the man sitting right beside him when the bullets flew, that statement only pushed the mystery deeper.
Of late, Puffy, he been showing Tupac love on social media, man. Have you seen it? What you think about it?
Phony and bologna on a pickle sandwich. You want me to say it again? Huh? It's phonier than bologna on a pickle sandwich. Yes, he did idolize Tupac. We all knew that. We knew that about some of the speeches he said. He said the same shit that came out of Pac's mouth. But he didn't like him. If you ain't like that life, how you gonna love him in his death? Oh, you glad to see it now. All right, okay.
That's a very strong word to use, man. So you feel like Puffy, he idolized Tupac, and you really believe that?
Yeah, he idolized that dude. You gonna go and make it your business, I don't know, to sleep with every chick that he slept with? Or maybe the chicks was just making the rounds. I don't know. But he made it his business to sleep with every chick that Pac was sleeping with. Pac was the first one that came out with that yellow and black Versace shirt. What Puff go do? I want that same shirt right there.
So you feel like Puffy getting with some of the same females that Tupac got with, like Sally Richardson and Sarah Chapman. You think he only got with them because Tupac had them. That's the only reason why he got with them.
It probably was inspired because they was fine, but they put a plus on it because Pac had them.
This is where the theory starts stretching beyond borders. One of the biggest beliefs is that Tupac didn't die. He escaped to Cuba with the help of his aunt, Assata Shakur, a political activist who received asylum there after escaping from prison in the 80s. Fans have long believed Tupac used those family connections to disappear into Cuban society, living under a whole new identity where nobody could reach him. That theory exploded all over again after federal agents reportedly found references to Cuban files during raids on Diddy's properties earlier this year. Nothing official has been confirmed, but the discovery added even more smoke to a fire that's been burning for decades. Over the years, people have claimed to spot him everywhere. A man who looked exactly like Tupac chilling in Havana bars, random photos of someone fishing along the Cuban coast, and even rumors of him showing up in Malaysia. None of these sightings have ever been verified, but they keep the legend alive because a lot of people truly believe he might have found a way out. Some fans think that if Tupac did survive, it wouldn't just be luck. It would take serious cooperation from hospital staff, law enforcement, and maybe even high-level intelligence agencies with the power to hide someone permanently. Whether any of that is real or not, one thing stays clear. the world still feels like the full truth has never been told. A cover-up that big would take layers of power, silence, and people moving together to keep the truth sealed tight. And that idea still shakes people today. But even with all the rumors and theories out there, Mo-Prim Shakur and the people closest to the family never once stood up and said, "Tupac is alive." What they've always said is simple. The truth about what happened has never been fully revealed, and someone out there still knows more than they're admitting. To understand why so many believe Tupac might have faked his own passing, you gotta look at the man's own art. Right before everything went down, Tupac dropped his final album under the name Machiavelli, a direct nod to Niccolo Machiavelli, the Italian thinker who literally wrote about faking your own death to outsmart your enemies. That wasn't an accident at all. Tupac moved with purpose in everything he did. On the album cover, he was shown crucified, a loud symbol of death and resurrection that nobody could ignore. Inside the music, fans found what they believed were hidden messages, lines about escaping danger, coming back after 7 days, and living forever through legacy. Even the full title, The Don Killuminati, The 7-Day Theory, added more mystery to the whole story. Tupac reportedly finished the album in just 7 days, and fans tied that to biblical symbolism about rebirth and transformation. Some people saw all these clues as proof that Tupac didn't just sense danger, they believed he planned for it. Others say it was simply a brilliant artist expressing fear, pressure, immortality, and survival the only way he knew how, through poetry, metaphors, and raw emotion. But whether it was a hidden blueprint or just powerful storytelling, that Machiavelli symbolism became the heartbeat behind every theory that followed. And no matter which side you stand on, one thing can't be denied: Tupac's story has lived longer, louder, and stronger than almost anyone from his generation. His influence is everywhere: music, fashion, activism, the streets, the culture, and every conversation that still brings his name up today. Whether people believe he left too soon or stepped into a new life somewhere far away, the mystery itself has kept him immortal. Every new generation meets Tupac not just as a rapper, but as a symbol, someone who stood for truth, resistance, and courage when it counted the most. And now, with Mo-Prim stepping forward again, demanding real answers, there's this energy in the air like maybe, just maybe, the world might finally learn something new about that night. As the investigation around Diddy keeps unfolding and new documents start popping up, the questions about missing evidence, hidden motives, and law enforcement decisions are getting louder than ever. People want to know what was overlooked, what was ignored, and what might have been covered up. But if history has taught us anything, stories tied to fame, power, and huge money are almost never simple. In the end, Tupac Shakur's story is bigger than a mystery. It's a reminder of how truth can be shaped, twisted, or buried by the people who fear it the most. Mo-Prim Shakur's words remind us that time doesn't erase unanswered questions. And Snoop Dogg's careful tone shows that even eyewitnesses can walk away unsure of what really happened. And the investigation surrounding Diddy is making people wonder whether justice is finally catching up to secrets that have been sitting in the dark for decades. Whether Tupac truly passed that night in Las Vegas, or whether something far more complicated went down, his presence in the culture is undeniable. His music still speaks, his message still inspires, and his mystery still keeps people debating generation after generation. So maybe the real question isn't whether Tupac is alive or gone. Maybe the real question is this: why has the world never been given the full truth? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let us know what you think. If you enjoyed this video, hit like, subscribe, comment, and share, and I'll see you on the next one.